Welcome to Defense Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Germany's dream of 15 million electric vehicles is fading away. Why did the US wait to retaliate for the drone strike? White Lotus drops actor after Ukraine controversy. EPA move against cancer-causing forever chemicals could help New Mexico's cleanup fight. North Korea says it tested cruise missiles with super-large warheads in its latest weapons display. Germany's dream of 15 million electric vehicles is fading away. Bloomberg. Germany's push for electric vehicle (EV) adoption and infrastructure is facing challenges as demand slows and charging infrastructure remains lacking. The country's subsidies for EV purchases were withdrawn in December, contributing to a forecasted 14% drop in EV sales this year, according to the VDA lobbying group. Germany has also struggled to keep pace with its ambitious EV charging infrastructure goals and currently has only around 105,000 functional public charging stations, far below its target of 1 million by 2030. In addition, rising electricity prices have dampened demand for EVs, and without further subsidies, some analysts believe Germany will struggle to meet its goal of having 15 million EVs on the road by 2030. Why did the US wait to retaliate for the drone strike? BBC. Retaliatory strikes against Iran-backed militias have begun after a drone strike in Jordan killed 3 U.S. soldiers, with the U.S. striking the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, Quds Force and affiliated militias in Iraq and Syria. The U.S. has blamed an Iranian-backed militia group, the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, for the Jordan attack. Iran has denied any involvement. U.S. officials have also been criticized by Republicans for the timing and forcefulness of the response. Experts have suggested that the U.S. allowed Iran to withdraw personnel to avoid a wider conflict between the two countries. White Lotus drops actor after Ukraine controversy. The Sydney Morning Herald. HBO has announced that it has parted ways with Serbian actor Milos Bajkovic, who was cast in the third season of the series The White Lotus. The decision comes after Bajkovic faced criticism from Ukraine's foreign ministry for his ties to Russia. In a statement, Bajkovic cited external pressure as the reason for his departure. HBO has stated that Bajkovic's role will be recast. The third season of The White Lotus is set to begin production in Thailand this month. EPA move against cancer-causing forever chemicals could help New Mexico's cleanup fight. Yahoo! The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is looking to classify PFAS chemicals as hazardous waste, allowing states such as New Mexico to order those responsible for the pollution to clean up. PFAS chemicals, known as forever chemicals, are linked to cancer and take thousands of years to decompose. The proposed changes will be published in the Federal Register in a few weeks. North Korea says it tested cruise missiles with super-large warheads in its latest weapons display. The Globe and Mail. North Korea has announced that it has tested cruise missiles fitted with new super-large warheads, as well as a new type of anti-aircraft missile. The announcement comes after South Korea's military reported that it had detected the North launching multiple cruise missiles into waters off its western coast. There are concerns that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un may further increase pressure on his rivals in an election year in the US and South Korea, and some experts believe there is a possibility that he may attempt a direct military provocation in a limited scale. Analysis: what to make of the US retaliation strikes against pro-Iranian militias in Iraq and Syria? CNN. The U.S. airstrikes against pro-Iranian militias in Iraq and Syria on Friday were limited in scope and duration, signaling a clear and calculated choice by the Biden administration to avoid wider conflict. The strikes were telegraphed in advance to reduce the risk of misunderstanding and retaliation, and to prevent them from being mistaken for Israeli actions. Both the U.S. and Iran have reasons to avoid a war. The Biden administration has elections looming, while Iran's economy is fragile and it seeks regional influence and nuclear weapon capability. The U.S. recognizes that power is defined by measured use, not brute force. Biden delivers reprisal to Iran with room for de-escalation. Yahoo! U.S. airstrikes on Iran's militias and proxy forces have met President Joe Biden's promise to retaliate for the deaths of 3 U.S. soldiers, yet have left room for both sides to back away from a high-risk confrontation. The strikes fit with a plan Biden had telegraphed for days. He would inflict pain on Iran for the drone attack on a U.S. base in Jordan by one of the Iraq-based militias it supports. He would demonstrate the full range of American power. And he would also keep his options open. It was a strategy that underscored Biden's desire to respond forcefully and make Iran and its proxies think twice about future attacks, while also trying not to get the U.S. pulled deeper into a regional conflict than it already has been. Our response began today, Biden said in a statement. It will continue at times and places of our choosing. Lurking in the background is his desire to keep the US-Iran confrontation from scuttling tentative negotiations between Israel and Hamas. Israel's devastating response to the group's surprise assault on October 7, and US support for the Israeli government, is one reason Iran's proxies cite for their repeated attacks. Supreme Court lets West Point keep using race in admissions. Bloomberg. The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected an emergency request to halt the use of race as an admissions factor at West Point. The court's decision allows the military academy to continue its decades-old affirmative action efforts. Last year, the Supreme Court ruled that civilian universities could not consider race in admissions for the sake of campus diversity, but left open the issue of admissions at service academies. The Biden administration argued that race-conscious admissions at service academies are necessary for national security and to ensure a diverse officer corps. The case was brought by Students for Fair Admissions, which represents 2 white applicants to West Point. Biden walks a fine line with airstrikes on Iran-backed militants. Foreign policy. The United States launched military strikes on Iranian-backed militants in both Syria and Iraq on Friday in retaliation for the killing of 3 U.S. service members in Jordan earlier this week. The attacks, which appear to mark the largest and most direct U.S. involvement in the post-October 7 Middle East hostilities, seem intended to punish the groups and deter them from conducting future attacks, while sending a tough message to Iran. U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, said in a statement that more than 85 targets were hit in the assault, and White House National Security Council Coordinator John Kirby said there would be more attacks coming. House in a Box, area container home business aims to make housing affordable. Yahoo! The shipping container home business is expected to grow to more than a $67 billion industry this year, according to the business research company, a market research company that provides actionable market insights. The company cites the growth is attributed to sustainability and eco-friendly construction, affordable housing solutions, urban and population density, architectural trends and aesthetics, construction speed, and efficiency. They cite that the container housing market is expected to see strong growth over the next few years, projecting it to be more than an $84 billion industry by 2028. Before committing to a container home, prospective buyers need to check local zoning laws because some areas may not allow them, while others may not have specific rules on the books and believe it would be challenging, such as within the city of Fairfield. Dear viewers, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 Degrees world, here to bring you the latest news and analysis from around the globe. Let's dive right in. Germany's dream of having 15 million electric vehicles on the road by 2030 seems to be fading away. The country's subsidies for EV purchases were withdrawn, contributing to a forecasted drop in EV sales this year. Additionally, Germany has struggled to keep up with its ambitious EV charging infrastructure goals. With rising electricity prices and without further subsidies, meeting their target seems like an uphill battle. Looks like Germany might need a charge of its own to jumpstart its EV ambitions. In the US, retaliatory strikes against Iran-backed militias have begun after a drone strike killed 3 US soldiers in Jordan. The US strikes targeted the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps and affiliated militias in Iraq and Syria. However, the timing and forcefulness of the response have come under criticism. Some experts suggest that the US allowed Iran to withdraw personnel to avoid a wider conflict. It seems like they were trying to avoid sparking a full-scale fireworks show. HBO's series The White Lotus has dropped Serbian actor Milos Bajkovic due to controversy surrounding his ties to Russia. The decision comes after criticism from Ukraine's foreign ministry. HBO has stated that they will recast the role. Looks like Bajkovic's acting career just hit a speed bump. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is looking to classify PFAS chemicals, also known as forever chemicals, as hazardous waste. This move would allow states like New Mexico to order those responsible for the pollution to clean up. PFAS chemicals are linked to cancer and take thousands of years to decompose. It's about time the U.S. took a stand against these forever chemicals. Let's hope this decision sticks. North Korea has announced the testing of cruise missiles with super-large warheads and a new type of anti-aircraft missile. There are concerns that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un may increase pressure on his rivals in an election year in the US and South Korea. It seems like Kim Jong-un wants to make sure he's not forgotten in the headlines. Can't blame him for wanting a little attention. Now, let's dive into some analysis. The US airstrikes against pro-Iranian militias in Iraq and Syria were limited and calculated, showing a clear choice by the Biden administration to avoid wider conflict. Both the US and Iran have reasons to avoid a war, and power is defined by measured use, not brute force. President Biden's strategy seems to be to respond forcefully while keeping options open. It's like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Speaking of Biden, his airstrikes on Iran's militias and proxy forces have sent a message while leaving room for de-escalation. He wants to respond forcefully but also avoid getting pulled deeper into a regional conflict. It's a balancing act, like trying to give a cat a bath without getting scratched. And lurking in the background is his desire to keep the US-Iran confrontation from scuttling negotiations between Israel and Hamas. It's like trying to untangle a knot without making it worse. Tricky business, indeed. In other news, the U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a request to halt the use of race as an admissions factor at West Point. The court's decision allows the military academy to continue its affirmative action efforts. Looks like West Point will keep marching forward with its diversity initiatives. The shipping container home business is booming, expected to be a $67 billion industry this year. It's all about sustainability, affordability, and efficiency. But before you commit to a container home, make sure to check local zoning laws. You don't want to end up with a stylish home that's not allowed in your area. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. That's all for today's news. Now it's your turn, viewers. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any burning questions? Let's hear it. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.